Managing a small team or business comes with a unique set of challenges. With limited resources and manpower, it's easy for things to feel chaotic and out of your control. How can you, as a leader, accomplish your goals while keeping your team engaged, effective, and accountable? This podcast will give you practical strategies you can implement now to lead your team or business to reach its fullest potential. Welcome to the Organizing Chaos podcast with your host, Danny Coleman.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Danny Coleman here with another episode of Organizing Chaos, where we find small practical strategies for small teams and small businesses. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate those of you who've been joining in, leaving comments on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much to those who've reviewed my podcast so far. I'm humbled that you're even listening to me, but I'm thankful and I'm grateful, and I'm hoping that some of what I have to share can help clarify things either for your small team or your small business. So today I want to talk about hiring. I just left a meeting, and a friend who was one new acquaintance who's now a friend who's getting to know me and what I do asked me what I thought the number one biggest challenge for small businesses. What's the biggest challenge that they face? And I feel like it's getting good people. It's hiring. Really, when you boil it down to it, it's hiring. So that's what I've got scratched up on my marker board today. And I want to talk just a little bit about hiring. So first, before I jump into kind of my points or takeaways for it, first of all, if you think about where your business is going, I've talked in previous episodes about how your business is a vehicle. It needs to be taking you someplace. Otherwise, you just created a job for yourself, which again, if that's what you wanted to do is fine, but this podcast, it would not be for you. So if you want your business to bring you to a certain destination so that your life looks a certain way when you get there, if you're looking to get to a place, you need to know who's on your bus, right? Who's on your boat, who's rowing on the boat with you. So how good is your team? And so when you're thinking about letting things go in your business or trying to back away from your business a little bit so that it can run more on its own, you can get some of your time back, spend more time doing what you want to do in the business. You need to think about what your team looks like. So most teams and small businesses, I'll just kind of run through a few scenarios. Oftentimes, it'll get to the point where you're so busy that you need somebody else. And so Jane on your team, you like her, she's pretty good. She tells you about her sister, Janet, who needs a job, and she's really good with people or something like that. And so you're just like, yeah, sure, bring her in here. You do kind of more or less an interview just to make yourself feel good about it. But in reality, you don't have the time to really search for someone. And so you just hire Janet. Or you've got like your brother-in-law, right, who needs a job or who's just moved to the area or whatever. And you're like, hey, that's family. I could just hire them, keep it in the family, yada, yada. It's not even wrong. I'm not even saying that's wrong to do any of these things, to hire a friend or to hire a family member. But the biggest thing missing here is intentionality. There's no intention with your hire. You're just hoping to fill a spot. You're hoping to fill a void that your business is too busy, something extra. There's extra stuff that needs to get done. It's not getting done. So let's put another warm body in here. And if they're halfway decent, it'll be fine. I can, and a part of me can appreciate the just getting it done-ness, if you will, the just getting it done aspect of that, right? You're just trying to make something happen, and I appreciate and respect that. That said, you're rolling the dice as far as what your team makeup is going to be like, your team dynamic. How are these people working together? This person that you just hired, this brother-in-law, this cousin, or this friend or whatever, what are they even naturally good at? What are their qualifications? Now, you might do some of this research on them or whatever, and that's good. But the main thing that I'm trying to get here is that hiring needs to be intentional. You need to be thinking about who it is you're putting on your team. So that way you can feel like you can trust your team to carry out the everyday operations of the business without your direct involvement every day. And so if you don't build a team that you feel like you can really trust, who you feel is very capable, you'll never be able to get to the point where you're able to really start letting things go. Which again, letting things go, if you remember previous episodes, and if you haven't watched them, please do. Letting things go is the key for your business to grow and for you to be able to actually get your time back and spend more time doing what you love and whatever the reason was you originally started the business for. Like I mentioned, getting to that destination, getting to that place. So you got to build your team with intention. And so to do that, it does take more work than most people typically have in a small business. And even on a small team, hiring is not a fun job. I've done it many, many times. You put an ad on Craigslist, you put an ad on Indeed or some other job board, and you just get 100 different resumes. And then you're just swamped with resumes. You're already busy enough trying to keep the business going. Like I said, day-to-day operations, you're taking care of a lot of stuff. You're still involved in a lot right now. And so when you get all these resumes, it's just like, this is a whole nother job to go through all these resumes and see like which ones are good, which ones are bad, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is, it starts with process, right? It's just having a process in the first place for your hiring or for your hiring procedures, right? Or for your hiring activities rather. So it's going to look different for everyone, but I recommend that you have some type of heavy screening process up front. So whatever it is that you put on your job board, have some detailed instructions for how to apply. What I do in my hiring process is I have people submit first of all, they have to submit, okay, let me back up a little bit. So I kind of have two processes. They're slightly different. One is more geared towards higher level management people, and from that I'm going to require more. And then from the people who are more like a lower dollar per hour wage, or kind of just filling technician roles in your business, not that you don't need to be as stringent, but you can afford to not spend as much time and energy and force people to do this. But you can use the stringent process as well as the less stringent process. Either one will work. Having a process period is better than having none, than just firing off and seeing what people are gonna send into you. But you can use the stringent process with both, like I said, your lower dollar per hour people and your management people. But I'm going to talk about my management process first, because that's the one that's more to do. I require more of applicants. So the first thing that they have to do is send in a resume and a cover letter. I always require a cover letter because someone should always provide some type of context for their application. Otherwise, you're just getting someone who's probably shotgunning their resume to any job ad that they're seeing. So a cover letter tells me that at least they took the time, even if they have a boiler cover plate letter, at least they took the time to customize a little bit, and most importantly, they followed instructions, because I said put a cover letter in there. So even if they use a boilerplate cover letter, if they use a cover letter, they at least looked at what I asked them to do, right? So a cover letter and a resume first. That's pretty basic. On top of that, I have them fill out some type of survey. This is the extra layer that can help screen out the people who are just shotgunning resumes versus the people who are actually interested in working for you. What you'll have there is, like in the survey, is just going to be some basic questions. You don't even have to you can be 5 questions, whatever. It's really just about having some extra level that they have to accomplish, some extra things that they need to do in order for you to look at their resume. So then when you get, and then before I move on, also in their application, whatever their application is, however they send it into me, it's supposed to be via email, right? So if they want to call me, that's fine, but I'm just going to redirect them to submitting one online. So in their email, when they email you, in their subject, I always have some type of explicit instructions for how to structure that subject line. Now, part of that's because I use an automation process that kicks out certain emails that have certain tags in them, but I'm not going to get into that right now. If nothing, even if you're not using the automation stuff that I'm using, that I might talk about on a later podcast, is the level of instruction, right? They have to just follow certain steps or say certain things in their subject line in order for me to even look at it, right? So then that helps them be able to quickly identify who's paying attention to details, who's following instructions, because I can see right there in the subject line whether or not this person is following the directions, right? And so then I can see them in my email box. I check my online survey. And I recommend Typeform, and I'll put a link to Typeform in the description of the YouTube video. And then, of course, if you're listening to the audio-only version of this, just look up Typeform, Typeform, Google them, check them out. Great way to do surveys. Way better than SurveyMonkey, like far and away, like way better than SurveyMonkey. So anyway, sorry, got off on a little tangent there. So I see their email in my inbox. All right, they did that properly. Cool. All right, so Jane Doe. Did Jane Doe fill out the survey? Do I see her name in my survey results? Yep, there's Jane Doe. Cool. Did she answer all our questions? Awesome. Now, that's someone who I'm actually going to take the time to look at their resume and cover letter. Now, do they have the resume and cover letter, right? Does she miss her cover letter? And out. Did she miss a resume? Did you not put it in there? Out. Is there no way to contact them? Out. Those are like my three, like immediate, just kicks it out, right? Because when you get 100 resumes, you're looking for any way to just not have to look at some of them. That's the truth. But you don't want to just kick some away willy-nilly. You want to have some type of good reason, right? So all of those are really good reasons to just not even look at their resume or their cover letter because they didn't follow instructions, right? Their application isn't complete because they didn't do the things that you asked them to do in order for it to be considered complete. So now once you've got these in here, these resumes, you've got the people who they fill out the survey, they filled out the resume, or they submitted the resume and they submitted the cover letter. And they did the email subject correctly, right? So they're 4 for 4 right now. Awesome. So these people are following directions, they're paying attention to details, and they're interested in this position enough at least to kind of take some of these extra steps that I'm requiring of them. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort through, or as far as the initial part of it goes, I'm going to sort through who looks good out of those people who met all my requirements, who looks decent, right? And what I do is I record a video of myself and I talk to them a little bit. I send them I just put it up on YouTube, make it unlisted, and then I just take a few minutes to just pretty much reiterate a lot of the stuff that I have in the job ad. I talk a little bit about the business and what we're doing and what's important to us, kind of talk about some of our values and stuff like that and our standards. And then I send that out, and in that video I ask them to send me a video back. And in that video that they send back to me, they need to meet certain requirements as well in that video. And usually I try to make the video a little bit easier because it is weird for some people to send videos. That's not normal yet. But for me, I work virtually. I have for the last 4 years. And this is just, honestly, it's a way that things are trending, and it's going to save time for everybody if we have basically a little FaceTime without having to spend the time to actually meet. And so in that video, I usually just ask them to tell me why you think you're the best candidate, and tell me what's particularly interesting to you about this job. And then I may have some other things in there and also let me know of some times and dates that would be good for an interview if we're going to schedule one. So that's yet another screen to see, let's say 100 people apply, 50 of them follow my instructions. Out of those 50, I think there's 25 that look good. I send my video out to those 25 people. I get, maybe 10 people send the video back, if that. Usually it's lower. And this is good. It's good to screen people down, right? Because you don't want to have just anybody willy-nilly. You want someone who's going to put in the time because they're interested enough in your business and in this position. So you're down to 5 to 10 people now who actually send a video response back. Out of those 5 to 10, you're going to be able to see pretty quickly what it is. Basically, I don't know, are they the right fit? How well are they coming through in the video? And some people are going to be a little bit awkward on video and whatnot. So I'm not really, I'm not real stringent about it. I'm not a Nazi about it. But that said, I am going to, did they answer my questions? And lots of times people, they end up not answering your questions. They're like, all right, in answer to that question, and they blah, 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 and they talk about something completely different. So it's helpful to also make sure that, this video process, you don't, you're not overly critical, but at the same time, you require that they actually answer the questions that you ask. And so the people who answer the questions that you ask, and they seem like they might be a good fit, those are the people that you actually sit down for in-person interviews with. And so the other people, anybody who sends a video, I always do let them know, hey, thank you so much. If I ended up rejecting them, hey, thanks so much for sending in a video. I don't know, if we're necessarily the right fit, but, if I think a better position in our company comes along that looks like it would be a good fit for you, I'll reach back out. And so, but you can handle rejections however you want to. But I usually do, if someone took the time to get that far in the process and send me a video, that was a bit of vulnerability for some people to record a video and send it to somebody they've never met. I want to acknowledge that. And then you actually schedule those interviews in person with those last people. And honestly, let's just say you got 5 or 6 people who did send the videos back. Those are probably good quality people. Some people who take the time and are interested. And so they're probably actually applying other places as well. And so when you schedule those interviews, you may actually get 3 of them who ultimately nail down an interview time with you. But we went from 100, theoretically, to 3. And so instead of having to spend all this time interviewing people and wondering if you're getting the right person or not, you've put together this screening process that allows you to make sure that you're only meeting with, spending physical time with the people who did everything that you asked and who should be your best candidates. And so that's the process that I use. I highly recommend it. I got it from people who I used to work for, Brian and Frank, my previous bosses when I worked for the real estate development company in times past, and they got it from their business coach before that. So this is something that's actually come down several levels, and I've hired with it many times. And in fact, I was hired this way by my bosses of the last company that I worked for. So I find that it's something that really does bring, like, it allows the best to kind of rise to the top, because you put in these screening steps in place. So that's process. I took a long time to talk about that. When I started this video, I wasn't planning on talking about my whole process, but I'm hoping that you are able to maybe get something out of this. And by all means, if you kind of want me to summarize this or spell it out or whatever, just shoot me an email, and I'll kind of just, I'll articulate the process a little bit, and feel free to ask me any questions. But this has been a super helpful process for me to use, and other people that I've helped put it in place for to use, to get good quality applicants into their business, and so that they're not spending so much time going through paper resumes and interviewing people and whatnot. So anyway, so moving on, always have this process on. You can be posting, if you have a type of position, like a technician position, like a sales associate or something like that, that you have, you need to kind of maintain a certain number of good quality people with, then you have that ad, post that ad every other month. Always have that ad up. Let that process kind of always be running, and take regular time to review kind of your maybe finalists, right? Maybe kind of do it in quarters or whatever. Have some type of frequency. But if you can have this always on, you don't have to worry about Janet or Jane or Johnny or whatever who gets disgruntled and wants to leave, and then you're kind of, up the creek without good help, because these people left, and you weren't ready for them to leave, and you don't have a replacement, and so you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. If you have this process always on, you can make sure that you've actually always got quality candidates kind of right there on the line that you're able to hire and put in place. And and maybe you feel like out of those 5 sales associates that you have, there's 1 or 2 that are bad eggs, or you're not feeling, they're not really performing well, and they're not coming around or whatever. You can always, hire these other 2 people. All of a sudden now you've got 7, and then now you feel more comfortable in 2 weeks after you got, your 2 new hires on board. You can go ahead and let those bad eggs go, and you've not dipped below the kind of the minimum number or whatever of sales associates that you need to have. So obviously that's just an example, but yeah. And then lastly, position agreement. So this is a topic all on its own, but having position agreement for your different positions allows you to easily deploy this process when you need to. So if you have a position agreement, which is essentially a job description, I can't remember right at this moment if I've talked at length about position agreements, but for right now, let's just say they're more or less like job descriptions. If you have these already outlined for all your different positions, then whenever you're looking to hire another one of those positions, you just have someone or yourself, you post that job ad, and you can, like I said in step 2, you always keep it on. So first of all, have a process. And again, if you'd like any more information on the process that I described, feel free to hit me up. I'd be happy to kind of help you, like I said, put that in place or figure it out maybe for your business. 2, always have it on, always be running it to some level of, have some frequency that you're running these job ads, so that you don't feel like you're ever tied to certain employees who you feel like, well, if they quit, everything would be terrible or whatever, or it'd be really difficult for my business. Don't be overly reliant on one person in your business. That's a bad business, it's a bad system, because if that person gets hit by a bus, then where are you at? So anyways, it's morbid, but I think you get what I'm going at. And then lastly, have position agreements or job descriptions for all the positions in your company. That way, you're easily able to get this up and going whenever you do need to look for somebody. So anyways, hopefully that was not information overload. I've always said that I want to keep these below 20 minutes, and I'm at the 18-minute mark or 19-minute mark right now. So I want to thank you for checking this out. Like I said, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. You can email me. Feel free to comment if you're watching on YouTube. Share, like, subscribe, leave me a review on the Organizing Chaos podcast, either on Stitcher or iTunes or wherever you're able to review it. And again, appreciate your time. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a good one.
Want more? Go to DannyColeman.me to download Danny's free small business hiring guide, which includes tips, templates, and tools, plus a step-by-step process you can use to find and keep high-quality employees for your small team or business.